now. This is William Newing, Linwood, Washington, WIKISPEED, aka headquarters. And what did we do last week? Bleep ton of amount. We had some prep for the CSM and CSPO classes, and we did the CSM CSPO classes. I think the first time ever we had a net promoter score of 100. Just 100. It was amazing. 100%. Like, does this ever happen? Anyways, that was amazing. We celebrated just now. And what we're going to do the rest of the week is to clean a little bit more and pack and figure out what the rest is. Man of the hour. We're in, with the team.
Oh, it's all of us. It's a
It's
whole
all
team.
of us. And
Come on in, Fabian.
yeah, come on in. And then let's see. Any blocks? Yes, there's possibly a few blocks, but we're going to work on those. One of the ones that we have maybe is just probably time. A lot of us spent a lot of time in the 4 days to put on the classes, help with classes, and promote and remove impediments. We even have our scrum board to my right, your screen's left, and we rocked it. Who would like to go next? Go, Joe Justice.
Oh, I was saying we rocked it, but yeah, I'm happy to go next.
No, sorry.
Dishwasher clean or dirty?
Dirty.
In the last sprint, prepped for and delivered classes which helped finance Team WIKISPEED. So my wife asked the other night, Joe, we put, and you folks have seen in the tax filings for Team WIKISPEED, we've put, over the years, in aggregate, about $500,000 into Team WIKISPEED, she says, which is weird because I don't feel independently wealthy yet, but that's a big number when you look at it. And she says, how much money has Team WIKISPEED made? And the answer is, like, very small amount. We rent the cars, we sold a few, but in that small. And Mary Mike explained, WIKISPEED's what in industry you'd call a lost leader. The money comes from scrum training, which I never thought it would be that way, but it's true. So the thing that's happened last week is the monetization of WIKISPEED, which is scrum training, until our cars catch up and are market valuable. So what I do is consider everyone in Team WIKISPEED to take what you're learning and do consider a career in consulting or training, because currently that's where the money is. In the meantime, please help making the cars great. And I will continue to take the money from consulting and training and putting it into Team WIKISPEED, because apparently that's the model that works right now. But we still want great cars, so let's do both. In the next week, my plan is to teach more classes. I'll be teaching classes in Boston about what we're learning in Team WIKISPEED. And in the meantime, specifically to Team WIKISPEED, at Mary Mike's prompting, and she's totally right, I'm going to pair with anyone who's willing to pair with me to help develop a one-page Scrum and hardware guide. And the litmus test for if it works is you can look at a company or a group or an individual doing hardware, and if they're doing what's in that one-page paper, we would say they're doing Scrum and hardware. So it should be the I am doing Scrum and hardware if I'm doing the things on this page. So it should be a test for are you doing Scrum and hardware the best we know what it is. And it's allowed to be agile, we'll iterate it. And that's going to be, again, I think the monetization of WIKISPEED. I think it's going to be leveraging what we've learned towards business value, which is right now helping other companies, so that we can build great cars that change the world. The blocking issues to that are time. We all know all about that. And I don't actually know of another blocking issue. So who'd like to go next?
I can go next. So last week, so I tried to approach the issues I mentioned during last stand-up about minifying, concatenating the static assets on the WordPress site, but I just realized that that's not an easy thing to do in a WordPress site, since you don't have that accessibility to the assets, because everything is added programmatically, and you got more complexity as the more plugins you add. So also I noticed that there's not like a realistic way of measure the site performance, since every site that says that it will calculate your performance gives you a different result. Not only every different site will give you a different result, but every time you run the analysis, it will give you a different result, even if it's in the same site.
Sounds like an impediment.
Yeah, that sounds like an impediment. So um, checking checking manually which files are loaded and how much time they take using the Google Chrome development tools, I noticed that what it's taking almost 5 seconds of loading time, it's actually two PHP scripts that supposedly they return styles or something. I don't know. So I added to the backlog task to take a look at that, like see what those scripts are doing and see if we actually need those scripts from loading. And yeah, that's me. And the blocker is I can't actually customize the WordPress site.
Got it.
Thank you,
Anything
Stanley.
else you want to add, Stanley?
I have one question for Chris, but maybe we can do that during crosstalk. Right?
Yes.
Fabian,
Please write it
special
down.
guest star stand-up. What did you do in the last week to help Team WIKISPEEd? And what do you think you might do in the next week to help Team WIKISPEEd? And anything blocking you?
Yeah, well, I helped Julia with the training to finance Team WIKISPEED, and I'm thinking about to help Joe with to get him involved in the one-pager for Scrum and hardware. What might blocking me? Access to Joe and time.
Love it, man. Cheers. Dr. Michael.
Dude. Hi. Okay, what did I do this last week? Basically took product ownership of putting on the training, any of the support that was needed that wasn't from actually saying the words for the training itself. The other thing I did was I was able to mostly step back and actively be a student, which was amazing. I really think that I've learned enough that I'll be able to pair with my Scrum Master and see if I can be an even greater asset to the team and less of an impediment due to my just lack of knowledge, my previous lack of knowledge. So yay about that. The training went off amazingly, unbelievably, and totally jazzed about that. What I'm going to be doing now is just the team mostly has it all cleaned up. We're just going to be setting up the kids' toys so they can play again in the space, you know, getting them their playroom back. I'm going to be taking some well-deserved time to restore, because that's always on my backlog with the nieces and nephews, and blocking issues. Only the adrenaline high takes a big toll on me, and so I really need to pace myself gently to kind of metabolize this and do it without crashing. So that's my goal. That's part of my self-growth. Woo!
Thank
Who'd
you.
like to go next? Oh, yes, William. Thank you.
Who would like to go next?
This is Lauren Salter on Gabriola Island, British Columbia. And past week I went through the 501c again. Not much more to do with the books, with the financial stuff I have, but that ends in 2014. So I'll come to that in a minute. Coming week, I hope to get maybe the 2015 asset balance, books and asset balance, because I don't have those 2015, and time has passed, so it's we should include the 2015. I don't think we need 2016, but we should include the 2015. And the asset balance should be on. The more recent years don't have the asset balance they do for 2000.
Lauren,
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
of like 4 days ago, they were suddenly
Yeah.
snuck into WIKISPEED's Dropbox by me under Documents, Financials, Tax. There's now a 2015 folder and it's in there, but that just happened, so no surprise if you never saw it. Just arrived.
That's 2015 or 16.
2015.
Well,
15, perfect.
sorry, it's
Okay.
whatever we just filed. So
Oh,
2016.
2016 is what we just filed.
The current stuff is in
And so
there.
they find 2015 and 16. I might try and get away with 2015 because then I won't have to redo 2 years, just 1 year. But anyway, do you know if it has the asset balance page, the summary page? All right, so I'm good then. So I'll take care of that this coming week and send it to you for signature. and that's it. So the blocks are gone, and that's it. That's it for
national level. Thank you, Lauren.
That was awesome. I can't wait to sign it.
And Michael Lolchuk, I think you want to go next.
Okay, I'm unmuted. Unlike all of you, very little to report. I have a little bit of information about when I might get those Polaris EVs, and I didn't get any CAD done. This coming week, I'm hoping to get that CAD done, just by heck I have been for the last month. And I have no blocks. That's about it for me.
Fantastic. Thank you, Michael. Who would like to go next? It's going to be a duel between Chris and Bruce. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay, well, I guess I will go. So this is Chris Wallace. I'm the product owner of the Burleson, Texas, USA Micro Factory. And actually, Michael, I didn't get much done last week either, but I started off the week by watching some videos on how to remove the S2000 tie rod ends, since that was a block from last week. And then the only other thing I really worked on the last couple of days, because I got blocked on it, was editing the new team member email that's sent to the admin, basically with the goal of including the location and the subject, and then all of the specialized fields and the actual terms and services, so it acts as a legal form. I did get the terms and services. I got blocked on that, and I'll cover that in a second. So for next week, I do want to update the subject of the weekly stand-up invite that we send out, just to include our process improvement from last week, which is just add that it's the weekly high five. And I want to automate the sending of the new member email to the Google group. I thought that actually would work the way I set it up, but I guess I turned that off at some point. That'll be fairly easy, but I want to get the template cleaned up before I actually start automating that process. If I make it to the shop, which I really should, since I did not this week, I plan on assembling the parts bin that we have, but be able to easily sort fasteners and things like that. And then hopefully, now I know at least what I was doing wrong, so hopefully I'll get those tie rods off of the S2000 steering rack and allow us to go ahead and put the custom tie rods on. So the block that I'm having on this email, this new member email, is that the plugin that we're using for the email template has a certain number of variables that you can use. But the variables that it uses are like for the shipping address, or for the user address, are the billing shipping information. And because it's a free membership, that is actually not populated at all. I spent about half of today trying to figure out where this information comes from, because that paid Membership Pro plugin is a very cobbled together setup. So I finally found it, but was unable to figure out how to actually extract the information. So basically, it's another set of fields. If you look at the user profile, you have what WordPress usually exposes is the billing address and the shipping address, or the customer shipping address. What this plugin is doing is adding another set of fields called shipping address, and I have not figured out how to get that exposed to the plugin I'm using for the templates. I think it's a fairly easy fix, but that part of WordPress is a little above my head right now. It's not something I've really dived into before. So that's the main block on wrapping up those stories. And that should complete my stand-up portion. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. And what the F? Wow, I'm sorry you had to spend half a day, but let's continue this on, and we'll save that for crosstalk. Bruce.
Yeah, this is Bruce Connor from Tewksbury, Massachusetts. And yeah, the last week has been picking up on doing some things again. I kind of dropped out of sight there for a little while. Sorry about that. I did a couple, 3 weeks ago talk to Michael a bit. We had a private call, and that was good. He kind of filled me in on some of the questions I've been having, which is great. And I'm still looking forward to talking to Chris, but I know he's busy. So, time is a blocker for me. And so that's, pretty typical. What I've been doing in the last week is I've been talking to some local people about, trying to gauge some interest in getting a local shop put together and trying to figure out where we might want to put it and kind of, how we'd set that up. And obviously, going to take a while. And also looking into, getting my own home garage set up temporarily in the meantime, and I'm getting my towing vehicle and all that stuff set up and doing more tooling. So it's just the usual stuff. Haven't had a chance to play with the CAD at all, which was one of the things I wanted to do. I wanted to get up on GeoMagic a little bit better, but haven't had the time. So yeah, time's the big blocker for me. So that's about it.
Thank you, Bruce. Any impediments, any blocks other than time, or is time just the biggest blocker?
Primarily time at this stage, yeah.
Okay. All right, thank you very much, folks. That wraps up our stand-up. Unless, is there anyone that did not give their stand-up like to go next? Okay, that moves us on to retrospective. Let's try to go in the order that we provided our stand-up. Retrospective. According to Michael Lochek, I need to give 10 and a 10. So let's go 10 and a 10. Yeah. It's like, how can you give yourself 9 and then not give the team, and then only give the team a 10? It's like, well, you're right. Let's just do 10 and 10. So 10 and 10, and any process improvements. I don't have one. I thought I did, but if it does come back to me, I'll bring it back. Otherwise, right now, I don't, and I probably just need to eat a bit more. So I believe, Joe, you were next?
Oh, I thought Stanley was next.
One of you were. Fight off.
I'll go next. Folks, for my happiness is my role, which is a development team member of Team WIKISPEED, I'd say 10,000 on a scale of 1 to 10. The team around me is crushing so much, doing such a great job, that when I can spend any time towards the team, it's easy to be effective because the team is set up and paved the way, and that's a really good feeling. For the team, also a 10. For, gosh, there's one employee of Team WIKISPEED. They're not even an employee anymore. We're contracted to their business. There's one person that gets any money from Team WIKISPEED, and we all do it like Wikipedia editors update Wikipedia, and we're crushing it. I just got to see that again, and I wish everybody had. 2 days of teaching people at real big kids companies and government offices saying, we want to learn what you're doing. How cool is that, Team WIKISPEED? You all did that. How's that not a 10? Then I'll say for process improvements, all the big kids, cool companies that have great Scrum, and there's a number of them now, they have a burn down to when the next big release is and an estimate of how much money that's going to make us. Now, look at us now. We're people doing this after work nights and weekends and having an enormous amount of fun most of the time doing it, even though it's real big work. What do we all have in common? What's the backlog we're all hitting, and what's the release that then funds us? That's a tough question that I think there's an opportunity for us to dial in on what that could be near term for any one of us to propose, and for a product owner to ultimately say, yeah, I think so, and make a product backlog of something we can deliver near-ish and allow us to focus our efforts. You listen to our stand-ups, they're all amazing. They're not hitting any one given backlog towards a release. I get that, and they might never, and that's an okay thing. We all have our own reasons for why we're passionate about the project. But if there were a centralized backlog of a near-term win, of something we could all pitch in to do, and we estimated a business impact or a nonprofit impact as to why it's important to do, I'd be super ridiculously happy about that. That's what I got. And so maybe Mary Mike, you want to go next then?
Okay, so process improvement is to redefine process improvement. There have been a couple times when we said, what's our process improvement? And what's come up has been oh, this would be a nice add-on thing, as opposed to, this is the one thing we can do better to do better next sprint. So sometimes it has been something like, oh, let's make this thing to advertise. And my suggestion is, will that make us do better next sprint? So I suggest redefining our process improvement idea. And then in terms of a process improvement overall for WIKISPEED, I think the greatest value we can do is we have with us the person who took Scrum out of IT. It had never been done before. Formalizing this in some way, with a white paper, with a definition of Scrum and hardware, with, I don't know, eventually a conference, but formalizing this somehow, and I think eventually a book.
Is that your process improvement?
Is my process improvement.
Okay.
Is formalizing that.
Oh, hey, maybe that's something. Maybe we can help formalize this. What is it we do that works? And all of us have done cool stuff and learned a lot. And some of it has worked. Maybe we can put that together and say, what is it?
Case studies on that.
You're probably right about that. Okay, so I proposed process improvement, as has Mary Michael, as did you.
Thank you.
Stanley, I think that is you next.
Yeah, I'm next. I'm feeling kind of blocked with the WordPress site, so I will give myself an 8.
So your happiness is your role, not necessarily your efficacy.
Yeah.
So do you want to be Scrum Master or Product Owner?
It's the happiness metric.
Cool.
How happy are you?
So I thought, yeah, actually I asked this before, like, I thought it wasn't the happiness. I thought it was something else.
No, it is the happiness metric. Sorry,
Okay.
My apologies if I got it incorrectly. This is the happiness metric. How happy do you feel in your role?
I am a 10, yeah.
Yeah, look at that. We got a 10 out of that.
Yeah, that's the maximum.
Blocker, unblocked. Okay.
Yeah.
And then how is your happiness of the team? How well do you think the team?
I think the team did 10 out of 10.
Awesome. 10 total all around. And then your process improvement for the team. Do you propose anything?
I don't have process improvement.
You can support the upcoming ones too, and we'll have other ones if we do have other ones, and we'll vote on those. Okay. Well, thank you, Fabian. Do you have anything to add?
Since I haven't participated in the
it's okay.
yet,
Welcome to the first.
I don't have any retrospective. I feel like a 9 in the class, but the only thing reason for not giving a 10 is because it wasn't on my slide deck, so sometimes I feel a little uncomfortable to present from a different slide deck.
You're telling me.
We hear you. So room for improvement. Yeah.
But the rest was awesome. For WIKISPEED, I didn't have any cross improvement.
What?
He's allowed. He's okay.
You're a coach.
Yeah, but
Coach.
Get better at it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So, if we do coach at Washington State and Olympia, then yes, we're going to need to have Fabian come up here if and when Joe is not available. Hopefully Joe will be available. The three of us can rock it, or maybe both of them. Either way, we have some alternatives options in place. So
you're a trainer too.
That'll be. I'm waiting on my CSP. I just submitted my CSP and it looks pretty good. Thank you, Chris. So
my goal is for everyone in Team WIKISPEED to eventually become certified Scrum coaches or trainers. Again, that appears to be the near-term financial win, and it looks like it's something the world wants. So that's my goal for everyone in the team to do that, whether or not they ever practice it or not. But it's like having a driver's license. I think all of us should.
On that note, who would like to go next? I think it was Lauren. You're muted.
Are we still on retro?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to give myself an 8 only because I now can handle Excel formulas better and read them better. I'm still not a jockey, but it's something that I avoid Excel.
Oh, come on. Probably
I want databases. Anyway. So 8 for me, a 10 for the team, and look at this meeting is my proof of that. Look how many people are on the meeting, and also we've mastered the technical aspects. Everybody's turning off and on sound and picture so bandwidth isn't a problem, and compensating for people's bandwidth. So that's a 10 plus because of how we got rocking the meeting, the stand-up. And the process improvement, don't know if I have one. I know I would like to work on and see some kind of financial standard thing that you can log on to the web from when you got an expense or a revenue thing, so you can take your phone and pop it in, and also that it's accessible to everyone who needs it to be accessible. So that's I don't know if that, I think that may be a backlog item. I'm going to talk about it in crosstalk.
Thank you, Lauren, and I totally dig that shirt. All I read is my piece, but really love it. And you're still muted. Nope, still muted. You're totally muted, Lauren. Please unmute.
What?
Is it my turn yet?
Yes, Michael.
Yes, Michael, please go.
Okay. I'm going to give myself a 3 because I got almost nothing done, and I'm going with 9.5 for the team. Maybe I just haven't seen enough of it, which is probably the case, to give it a 10. And I don't have a process improvement this week. That's it for me.
It's how happy you are. Are you? Well, can I send you some chocolates? 3,000. Thank you, Michael. And I believe, Chris, you are next.
Okay. Yeah. So I don't think I actually stuck with the happiness metric when I wrote this down either. I think I went with my ability to contribute to the team. So I actually put down a 6 for me, but I'm gonna edit that to my happiness in my role is definitely a 10. Even getting stuck on and blocked by plugins, that's actually like the funnest thing to me. So is having to figure out these crazy nerdy problems. So yeah, definitely a 10, and a 10 for the team. I mean, like Joe pointed out, everybody is working on the things that interest them, and it actually is moving forward so many features. I wanted to point out there, Stanley, too. I know that you feel blocked on the site right now, but the web page is working. It's at least twice as fast, as if not a little bit more, in using it than it was before you started working on these performance enhancements. And I don't really have a process improvement written down, but I'll just say that kind of in the vein of what we're talking about, if instead of just looking at these things as little tasks that we kind of work on here and there, if we really look at this as a Scrum sprint and try to bring stories to done in each sprint, because that's really, I think, what will help speed up the velocity and show us if what we're trying is working each week or not. That wraps it up for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. And I also, as the Scrum Master for the core, will take some responsibility for not clarifying what the happiness matrix is and how the respective plays the happiness matrix in there. This is about how happy you are in your role. Rate yourself from 1 to 10, and how happy you feel about the team from 1 to 10. Of course, a process improvement. Bruce, I believe you were next.
Okay, so yeah, I'm happy in my role. I'm going to give myself a full 7 this last week. Things went well. You know, I didn't get quite as much done as I'd hoped, but you know, overall the direction is good, and I'm really happy with that. Obviously, I think, you know, how can you not give the team a 10 this time around? It sounds like you guys are really cruising on stuff, and I especially like the direction that we were taking tonight with some of the discussions. So I'm looking forward to the crosstalk. Don't really have any improvements off the top of my head, so that's it for me.
Wow, it was like 19 seconds. Thank you, Bruce. I think that's a record. All right, it sounds like there is one proposed process improvement. Correct me if I'm wrong, Joe. I believe it's to redefine or define what is our process improvement. Is that correct?
I propose 2 process improvements. No, I propose a process improvement, and I propose a focus group. So you decide that's a process improvement.
What? What's that?
Yeah.
What?
Process improvement? What was the process improvement, Mary
The
Michael?
process improvement was not to propose nice to haves, but rather propose, is there anything that can improve our next sprint? So instead of adding something to a wish list of features,
Yeah.
it's, is there anything we can do better next sprint or focus on to be better next sprint?
That's fantastic. Yes, that is exactly what we need to have is what can we do to improve for next sprint? And the nice to haves and want to haves, like yes, it's just everyone throw it on a backlog. Put it on a distributed team, put it in Trello, put it in the Slack, let everybody know if anybody's blocked and helped, and let's attack it and give it to everybody. As far as the process improvement, what is it that we can do in the next sprint that would speed us up, essentially, or make us more, either one. So that's the new process improvement.
Yeah.
That's what is being proposed. Does anyone have any questions about that?
How do we know it's done? Well enough for next sprint. How do we know
I'm not clear what
stand
it
up
is.
that happened?
One more time, Lauren.
Yeah, I'm not clear what the process improvement is. It's that we have a doable process improvement.
The proposed process improvement is to propose what is it that we can do next sprint to make us faster.
The process improvement is to go back to the original definition of process improvement, which is not to put a wish item up, but instead to saying, what can we do to improve our velocity for next sprint?
I would kind of think an example so that there would be a suggestion of something. So that dot, for example, the other one, and then and then try and do that one in the next week. So I don't know. I don't have one. So maybe
for a really simple and small one for Team WIKISPEED's the prep for class would be take an inventory of what we have. All the books, all the accounting game cards, all the bags, tissue paper, wine glass, things like that. All the things that we're going to need for class. Take an inventory of it and start ordering if anything that we need to have. We're running out of gift bags today, which is really minor. We just handed them out, but we wanted to make it nice. So we had our Scrum Master go out and in between breaks in class to go and grab some more bags. And luckily there were enough bags at a store we can buy them. Unfortunately, there was multiple stores, but that happened, and that was good. So that's a process improvement.
Hey, I've got a proposal too, and I'm please don't be all, Joe said it, so this isn't fully baked. Sometimes I go, this is clearly what we need to do. This is not one of those times. Here's an idea, team. What if the top impediment for most of us is time, which Fabian just pointed out, and that's true, right? It's like we're having a stand-up of, think of us like Wikipedia editors, people that do this for fun, and their top impediment for editing more articles is probably time. You do this for fun after work. We all do. Well, then what would change that? Well, gosh, what if I could be paid to do WIKISPEED for a living? What if Wikipedia editors could be paid to edit, and they could reduce their day job or only do their day job when they wanted to or whatnot? That would be one way to attack the time issue. Well, what's making the most money for WIKISPEED right now? Scrum coaching and training. What's going to enable that? Maybe what Mary Mike said last night over dinner, 2 nights ago over dinner, which is a definition of what does WIKISPEED do for Scrum and hardware? What are we learning that worked, right? Which I'd said already was something I was interested in, and I started to maybe put those together. What if by this time next week we somehow attempted to each create a draft, even if it was 1 sentence long, of what we think makes WIKISPEED work? And we have plenty of opportunity, we get that. Well, what do we think makes WIKISPEED work? Some of that's going to be Scrum and hardware, but anything. And we all share that sometime, if we can, before next sprint. Here's why I think that would actually increase our velocity. If we're able to aggregate that in a future sprint, put it together, and maybe we do publish the draft WIKISPEED guide, or Scrum and hardware guide, or whatever it is. Or Joe Justice's theory on why you could be better. We can name it whatever makes it good marketing. Well, that should help all of us become Scrum and hardware coaches and trainers. What is that really? That's us getting paid to do WIKISPEED. What does that do? Via editors. And then we choose how much of this we do full-time or not full-time. I'm not saying I've got this all figured out, but here's an idea. What if the process improvement is to log what's working at Team WIKISPEED as each of us individually see it, and we try to share it, at least by next stand-up. We can email it to info@wikispeed.org so it's aggregated, if we want. We try to plug it together. And then we try to co-publish some kind of thing that says, here's what's working. There's definitely already marketing interest.
Let's set up a Google Doc and everybody can add their own section.
I'll propose that as a process improvement. We attempt to report in what we think makes this work from our own perspective. And then from that, we can monetize it or maybe. Because there's a lot of big companies saying, how are we be more like WIKISPEED? So well, if that's true, how come we're not being paid? How come all of us aren't being paid by big companies to do WIKISPEED? Let's see if we can make a dent there. There's a proposal.
Okay, I would kind of add that there's a nice, very defined, which is getting the inventory. Well, I mean, to me, both are good. What Joe's proposing is a draft of a publication that could make money, right?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Right.
Yeah. So I think both of those as examples. So the improvement is that they're something that can be swarmed on in a week, and the two things, the inventory, which will help in the existing income flow, and the draft, which will help in future income flow. That's my 2 cents.
Okay, so what do we get?
Okay, so it sounds like the only process improvement that is proposed is the one-page. No, excuse me. Strike that. The process improvement is to draft even a sentence of how WIKISPEED.
What works well about WIKISPEED?
Yes, what works well for WIKISPEED.
What makes WIKISPEED work well from our own vantage points? And that's better than any one of our points of view. And we'll try to coalesce them at a future sprint.
It's going to be fantastic, I think, because it's just so many facets of points of view. On a different note, does anyone have any further questions before we vote? And that's vote. On a count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Looks like it's unanimous. We're all going to go for it. We can email that in, and we can even collaborate on a Google Docs as well. Any of the above, and we'll just aggregate that together through that process. Excellent. That is our retrospective. Thank you very much, everyone. Let's move on to our crosstalk. Does anyone have anything pressing before they need to go? Joe, I believe I see your hand in the
Chris Wallace, you may already know all about this. In case you don't, there's a YouTube video or more of me undoing S2000 tie rod ends. I don't need you to find them. I'll just tell you what happened in case you haven't found them already. You may already have a solution. Short version, here's how I got the tie rod ends off. I took a rag and wrapped it around. There's 3 things we need to loosen. There's the first piece of metal coming right out of the rubber tie rod end boot from the steering rack, right? And now it has a hexagonal area, but getting any kind of wrench on that hexagonal surface is very difficult, especially getting it tightly. But we need to hold that in place so it doesn't rotate. So what I did, rag, just 1 layer, I think 1 time 2, but I couldn't bunch it out. It wouldn't bunch it up. It wouldn't grip tightly enough. So I straightened out a shop rag and wrapped it once, maybe it was twice, and then took vice grips. And so I wrapped the rag so the vice grips didn't just chew into the hexagonal surface. And I cramped the vice grips down. Then I let it rotate until that touched the bottom of the chassis so it held itself. Okay? Then you have a nut, and then you have the tie rod end itself. They both have hexagonal surfaces. On the hexagonal surface on the tie rod end itself, I did the same thing. A rag that was straightened out so it wasn't bunched up, and clamped vice grips. Then I slid a socket, or a wrench, tightly fitting, not an adjustable, but a just right fitting wrench to the nut itself, and I twisted the end of the tie rod end that actually has the part that connects into the steering arm of the suspension knuckle, I twisted them apart. I just wanted to make each other because that nut is behaving as a lock nut. I just got them loose and then took the end all the way off. Now that only worked, the part coming right out of the rubber boot was also not rotating, which is why I had a vice grip on it, which had braced itself against the underside of the car. There are YouTube videos of it. You may have seen them already, but that's what worked. And adding WD-40 into it or rust penetrant, I actually hadn't had much difference when I did that or not. It was just wrenches, breaker bars, and vice grips and rags.
Awesome. Thank you, Chip. I think my first mistake was I was turning the nut the wrong direction. Basically, I was going lefty-loosey when it actually needs to be turned.
I get it.
The other, righty-tighty to break loose the tie rod. Right. And, yeah. And, no, that's actually, the video that I watched was just a standard video of how to remove this off of an S2000. And they were actually using the fact that it was still attached to the wheel to hold the tie rod in place. So using the body of the chassis to hold the wrench in place is actually a good add-on that I will try. So yes, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Awesome. And Lauren, you'd said a financial app. If I understood you at all, the best one I've seen is Expensify. I've tried many for my work, and that is the one I currently do use at my work because it seems to work the best. I think it's free. I'd ask you to download it just to play with it for a higher priority than the non-for-profit application at the federal level. But if you're curious about it, I think that's the best that's out there, and I think it's free. It's called Expensify. Those are the only two I know about. So I know Stanley had a hand up, and there's other folks too.
Can you repeat that?
Expensify.
Expensify. Okay.
Yeah.
Is it like a dual entry account system or a component?
It's like a unicorn that gives you hugs every time you need to catalog an expense.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So we've been looking at front accounting, which is not too bell and whistly, but apparently it's very stable and web any browser kind of thing. So yeah. Okay. I'll check out Expensify and more front accounting. Great. Thanks.
Sure. Maybe I misspoke. That's not going to help the non-for-profit filing app. That's for future expense categorization. And if that's not the need, then it's not going to help you. What Expensify does is expense categorization really easily, really fast. If that's not what we need, that's not the solution.
That is one of the main tasks in setting up the other thing is the expense categorization. That's the thing that...
okay, then I would recommend it.
Categorize it. Don't take the standard ones. Categorize it according to your own system. So that's the main task. So I've definitely used
Got it.
Thank you, Lauren. Bruce,
Joe, you said you have a class next week in Boston. Can you talk a little more about that?
Next week in Boston.
Are there openings still?
Class?
What kind of a class and are there openings?
Yeah, there's a certified Scrum Master class where, like every class that I do, there's examples from all domains, including hardware. So it should be pretty fun. It's hosted at the Cambridge Innovation Center. For detail on the where, what, when, how much, that type of thing, it's on scruminc.com, and then you click upcoming classes, and it's of course the next one. Seeing as the class is Monday and it's not sold out, if cost is an issue, I can likely justify some type of Team WIKISPEED discount. I'm not entirely certain of that because it's not up to me. I don't own the course, Scrum Inc. does, but it seems likely because it's not sold out. Thursday, Friday, in the same classroom space, is a certified Scrum product owner class. That one is sold out. So whether it's possible to smuggle someone in and ignore fire code, that's still not impossible. But that's a question to answer by calling the Scrum Inc. phone number. Because the automated system on the website will just say it's sold out, you can't register. But
Is the product owner class also focusing on hardware? Or having a hardware aspect to it?
There are hardware aspects to any course that I do at Scrum Inc., every single one. But
Okay.
I'll say these classes were not booked by only hardware companies, so there will be also some software examples and probably some financial services examples too.
Okay. I already am a CSM. I'm a CSP as well. So
That's because you're awesome, Bruce.
thank you. But moving this toward kind of the monetization and figuring off of WIKISPEED, what would you say is the best place for me to apply myself? Is there something next week that would be useful, or is that maybe something else we need to do?
Dumb question or dumb comment, and it is. But I don't have a co-trainer for the class next week. I don't know how far along you are. I've had a conversation with you at any length. So this might be totally inappropriate. And Scrum Inc. tries to work with people who are super ridiculously senior. But I don't have a co-trainer next week. Just saying.
Well, why not? I think I might be able to do that.
Did you want the CSM and CSPO?
Yeah.
I'd encourage you to call scruminc.com and say you've been exploring Team WIKISPEED for a while. Would they consider you to co-train the class with Joe? You mentioned it at the Team WIKISPEED video chat, and he said that doesn't sound impossible. But I'd say Scrum Inc. is actually the one who makes that call. So I'd invite you to call the Scrum Inc. phone number. Someone will answer, one of the 15 team members, and I just say that to them. They'll know what to do with that information, and they'll be able to make the call.
Okay, great. Yeah, I'll do that tomorrow. Super. All right, thanks.
That's amazing. Lauren's having a kick. Thank you. Right? It's so good. I have to laugh. Does anyone else have anything else?
Yes.
I think Stanley, you did.
I do.
Yes.
I have two questions for you, Chris. The first, it's not a question, more like a proposal. What do you think if we standardize what we consider like page load or good performance in the site? Since there's so much sites that say that they will measure there's such wide variety of results, right? So I got Google Chrome Developer Tools gives you like a very cool graph in the waterfall style. The time thing takes to load, and like it's very sequential. Like first this is loaded, and then this is loaded, and then it puts a red line where the site is visible for the user. But stuff keeps loading because it's on the back end. It's lazy loading. It's loaded only if the user requested. But everything before the red line is considered loaded for Google Chrome. I was wondering maybe we can consider loaded using the same metric. If we use that metric, then when the site is right now it's taking 7 to 8 seconds. Before it was taking 9 to 10 or 9 to 12. Don't remember. When the sites are already loaded, it takes from 5 to 6. So we can use those numbers to actually measure performance. I mean, if we are actually making a difference. So I just wanted to say that.
Awesome. It sounds brilliant. And if you want, just put a Trello card on the website improvement backlog, and we'll run it through and do it that way. So yeah, sounds great.
Yeah. It's not like a task we have to do, but most like an idea, really, right? Like,
he's agreeing. Yep.
Okay.
He says good. Put it on a card. Let's count it. Make sure we track it that you did something, and then showcase and have a record of this is what we improved on, and in case we need to change it and remake it again. Do that. That's what we did. That's the standard now.
And that was the first thing. And the second thing, this is a question I always wanted to ask you since I saw your picture in the slide. Ĉu vi parolas Esperanto?
Do you speak Esperanto?
Say that again. I've got a little bit of a bad connection.
Ĉu vi parolas Esperanto, Chris?
Oh, yes, that's awesome. Yeah, that's exactly what the flag is. No one else knows what you're saying. He was asking me if I speak Esperanto.
Yeah,
in Esperanto.
Sed mi estas comenzando. Ĉu vi parolas Esperanto?
I don't speak it. I'm aware of the movement. I'm a huge fan of standards. I wish that one would catch on.
I don't know the flag, but I did know someone who spoke Esperanto.
That's good.
Cool. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
So I just have to, because you brought that up, I just have to say this. I know we're at the end of the time here, but I actually translated a movie script called Where Skeeto Nazi Hunter. About 6 months ago, I translated the whole movie script for subtitles into Esperanto, and it was one of the most because I had not even looked at Esperanto in the year previous to that.
Whoa.
So it was very fun. So I'm actually credited in the credits of a movie as the Esperanto translator.
Yes, that's huge.
Wow.
Chris, when are you going to do the Scrum guys?
I would read that.
Chris,
When are you going to
I
do the Scrum
have
guys?
an extra copy we can probably pass around amongst the team.
Chris, I have to ask you, have you seen William Shatner in the horror movie?
In Incubus, oh, absolutely. Yeah, I've watched it a couple of times actually.
Yeah, that's cool. I didn't know there was a lot of people that actually is pretty active in this Esperanto community. Yeah, when I came here, I just realized it's a big deal, and I really like it.
Excellent.
That's awesome. Hey, I was going to say, based on our process improvement, there is a blank web page ready to do something similar. A few weeks ago, we made the one-page flyer with a QR code that says "Who is WIKISPEED?" What that goes to right now is maybe we can collate together everybody's idea of why WIKISPEED works and the website. There's already a link and a short code, or a short link and a QR code that takes you right to that page on a one-page doc that's in the Google Doc that has been shared, but I can pull it back up if we need
I
to
was
find
going
it.
to say, could we just do it and then import it when we like it?
We can do that. I mean, for those that don't use a Google Doc, the mail or even mail it in if you need to. You know the WIKISPEED address. If you don't, please remember. And we'll aggregate it. I think that takes the one-pager to a different level. Instead of doing the what is WIKISPEED, we're actually diving deeper into the why. Because everyone is giving their own answers on why WIKISPEED does what it is that's so good.
What works about WIKISPEED?
Yeah.
How WIKISPEED works?
No, what works about
This is fantastic.
Actually, I have one more thing. Joe, William, are we still looking at somewhere in September for this race?
For the WIKISPEED Expo, yes.
September 30th is
Yes.
the current date. And I'd love to have
September
you,
30th?
and if you can, your car, awesome. But do plan accordingly.
I am loosely planning to bring 2 motor modules and a car, but that's assuming that a whole bunch of work gets done between now and then, and that's probably not a good assumption. It's a hope.
It is a hope, and we can probably help with the trend line.
Okay, just want to check. Last couple times I talked to William, the dates sounded like it hasn't moved, but the first time I asked this year, it sounded like it was moving more towards July, so I just keep checking once in a while.
Do you need it to move, Chris? Or Michael? Do you need it to move?
No. The further away is better for me.
Yeah, well, right, I get you. It's September 30th, and the intention is not for that to move. Here's why: that's my birthday. And
Okay.
what I want for my birthday is to meet as many people that have WIKISPEED cars as I can and tell them they are amazing. That's my birthday wish.
Okay. How are the prices for Nissan Leafs are on there?
The cheapest I'm seeing is around $5,000. Many at $7,000. They're almost free. It's awesome. And you can really use
Including Rex or no?
Because it's a front-wheel drive package. Yeah.
That's for drivable vehicles, right?
Well, everybody knows you get that on a new Leaf, so it's driven the cost of the used Leaf way down.
It started out at 55. Okay, sorry, that was my fault. Should not sidetrack on that side crosstalk. Does anyone have anything else? That's amazing, fantastic, great. 7 p.m. We started late, but we still finished on time. Excellent. That in actual reality sense, that means we're finishing early. Everyone, thank you very much. This is wow. We took it to a whole new level of fantastic and amazing. Thank you. Good luck and best of luck, and be one with the force, everyone, for next week and what's to come. and keep us posted, and we'll see you online with the process improvements. Have a good night.
Go team.